Since we last spoke, I have added a bunch of new things to my indie horror game, and in today's video, I'm going to go over everything I've added in the last week. Starting off, we have a brand new main menu, because of the last one was literally just a couple of grey boxes, and the first thing you see when you open the game is the main menu, and that often will dictate whether you'll even want to press start. So for the new menu, I added in a thing that I'll talk about in a second, the cave and a totem, rather than having the Qatari or the Wendigo's child actually standing in the middle of the screen, as I want to take the approach of trying to hide the monster for as long as possible, as this is a technique used in horror to build suspense. Now, as for the UI, I went with my usual style of red, black, and white, using like a hand-drawn paint effect as well. And I use that for start, reset, and quit. I'll do the same for when I add settings, and it begins the art and visual style and adds cohesion across the game. Now, moving on, I added in a deer creature, as so far there was only the boar. Now, with the boar, it's a pretty basic hunting mechanic. When you hit the boar, it will sprint off from you, whereas with the deer, you can't even get close to it, as it will just outrun you. So the way the deer is going to work, which will be in level 2, is that you will get a new ability, and it will basically be a rush mechanic or a launch or so, a lunge mechanic even. And this is going to be how you can hunt the deer. It's going to make the hunting feel a bit different to how it is with boars, and differentiate as hunting is a core part of the game. So I didn't want it to come stagnant by just hunting boars. As well as this, you'll be able to upgrade this lunge ability, or if I don't end up going the lunge ability, it could be a case of you'll have to crouch up behind the deer. But I don't think this will work very well, as the deers could just turn around, see you, sprint off, and it would make the game too difficult. So a lunge mechanic would suit it a lot better. Anyway, speaking of the deer, I have created the start of the second portion of the game. There's 3 in total. This is the second lot. The first one more acts like a tutorial. It's a very small map, and it's supposed to allow the player not to feel too overwhelmed all at once. But the second level, or the second portion of the game, is about 5 times bigger in terms of the game. I've added some like culling distances as well, so it means it won't break anyone's computer. And then in this larger area, it will make it both easier and harder for the player to get hunted. So I'm gonna do a system which, if you go past a totem or if you kill an animal, that will also attract the Qatari to you, as if it was just a case of randomly bumping into the Qatari, like it's so easy to do in the smaller map in section 1, you'd never see it, and the game would become too easy. So for level 2, it's a much bigger map, and so far so good. I've also added a campfire system instead of a cabin, again to differentiate it, as I don't want the entire game revolving around the cabin. And it also works as a save point, also works as a checkpoint, relief area, and the safe zone on this map. Now, saying that, as I just spoke about for the Qatari, I wanted to add in a little bit more to the map, as currently it's just like, it's just walking around, wandering around the woods until it sees you. Just to make this a little bit more difficult, and to add a little bit extra juice to the map, I decided to make a cave alert mechanic. So I created this cave in Blender, and then made the totem in Blender as well. Put it in the corner of the map, so that if the player is curious and wants to go look over and go and look at it, it will actually trigger the Qatari to rush over to the cave as the alert system is triggered. And I will be employing the system throughout the rest of the section 2 and section 3 of the game, as it's more just like a test to see if this works. Finally, I also updated the boar texture model slightly, as previously it kind of like a rat. Now it looks a little bit better, and I kind of did a similar thing with the deer as well, where I use a smart material in Substance Painter rather than just plastering on one basic texture. As this also gives it a bit of depth and height, and the normals look a lot better as well. So those are the five core aspects that have changed in the last week. The second proportion of this coming week, I will probably not put out a devlog, as I'm going to be taking part in the Global Game Jam tournament across next weekend, which is when I usually put out a video. So the next video will probably be on that. But in terms of what is coming for this game now, I need to continue updating the UI and kind of bringing it all into one, as I said earlier, cohesive art style, just as I did with the main menu. And also maybe seeing if I can finish level 2 by either the end of next week or the week after, as then I want to move straight into level 3. And once level 3 is done and I do a little bit more polish, I can start making the, what's it called, the Steam page. And I'm preparing for the next fest in, I think, June or July. And that's when the demo will be released, and hoping for release in August or sometime around then. Apart from that, that is all to update on this week. So thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next week.